Imagine a country where for decades, every official session of parliament has concluded with a pledge to erase the West from the map. Now, imagine this same regime is sitting on half a ton of enriched material, enough to forge 10 strategic warheads. Suddenly, your intelligence confirms the unthinkable. The entire military and political core of this state is gathered in a single room, right now, at this very second. What would you do? Donald Trump didn't hesitate. He authorized the strike. A devastating, crushing blow. It was spectacular. It was decisive. It was a strategic nightmare. You see, Trump uncorked the bottle and let the genie out, only to realize he had no plan for how to put it back in. He cut off the monster's head, but two more are clawing their way out of the neck, each more dangerous than the last. The moment to declare total victory has long since passed. Instead of a celebration, the world is watching a slow-motion collapse. Iran is choking the global oil supply, mining the Strait of Hormuz, and projecting power through chaos across its borders. Is this what victory looks like? Or has the United States just marched headfirst into a dead end from which there is no clean escape? Today, we're analyzing why winning the battle might just be the quickest way to lose the century. Welcome to the fallout. Now, let's get to the million-dollar question. What happens if Trump decides to put boots on the ground? Everything you're about to hear is a hypothetical scenario based on a rigorous analysis of the forces involved. Let's be clear, the objective won't be nation building or spreading democracy. Trump isn't Bush. The goal here is pure strategic utility, total demilitarization, securing nuclear sites, seizing the oil fields, and installing a business-centric transitional administration. This is a liquidation operation, neutralizing a global threat once and for all. So forget about diplomacy, forget about restraint. We are in March 2026. Trump is in the Oval Office, and he's just signed Directive 47.
This will make
The
America great
mission,
again.
the complete dismantling of the Islamic Republic. The code name, Iron Anvil. We are breaking down the first 15 days that changed the world, hour by hour, minute by minute, down to the last burnt-out tank. Phase 1, Neon Night, days 1 through 5. Objective, information castration, neutralizing the IADS, Integrated Air Defense System, and the total decapitation of the command hierarchy. Day 1, the beginning of the end. 2:02, Tehran time. Commencement of Operation Zero Dark Bite. This isn't about missiles, at least not yet. This is about code. United States Cyber Command, in coordination with Israel's Unit 8200, activates sleeper protocols within the Iranian power grid. 80% of the country plunges into total darkness. Tehran goes black. Cellular networks and internet connectivity vanish instantly. 2:15, B-21 raiders scream into the skies over the Persian Gulf and Jordan. These ghosts are already deep within Iranian airspace. The Iranian S-400 batteries are useless. They can't see them. The primary targets? IRGC command and control hubs. 3 o'clock, H-hour. The first massive volley of Tomahawks is launched from Virginia-class fast attack submarines. 400 missiles cross into Iranian airspace simultaneously. The skies over Bushehr, Natanz, and Tehran turn neon from the explosions. Iranian AD units are frantic, but they are flying blind. Their radars are being absolutely shredded by a combined US and Ukrainian electronic warfare EW blanket. 5 o'clock, the decapitation strikes begin. Trump gives the green light. GBU-57 bunker busters punch through 200 feet of solid concrete beneath the Zagros Mountains. The world doesn't know yet if the leadership survived, but one thing is certain, the chain of command has been severed. No orders are coming out. 12 o'clock, economic shockwave. Brent crude skyrockets to $145 a barrel in under 10 minutes. Markets in Shanghai and Tokyo immediately suspend trading. The global economy just hit a brick wall. Day 2, scorching the skies. 9 o'clock, the heavy lifting begins. F-35 Lightning IIs and F-15EX Eagle IIs start a high-stakes hunt for Iran's mobile ballistic missile launchers, specifically the Shahab and Khaibar units. It's a search and destroy mission focused on neutralizing Tehran's reach. 1500 hours, Iran attempts a desperate counterstrike. The remnants of their missile corps launch approximately 200 rockets toward Israel and Riyadh. The David sling system and U.S. THAAD batteries intercept 95% of the incoming threats. One Shahab hits the Saudi desert, another, however, strikes a residential neighborhood in Tel Aviv. At this moment, Israeli fury becomes uncontained. The gloves are officially off. 8 p.m., the Israeli Air Force officially neutralizes every known runway in Iran. As of tonight, the Iranian Air Force has ceased to exist as a functional military branch. The sky now belongs entirely to the coalition. Days 3 to 5. The Broken Glass Syndrome. The strategy. The U.S. begins a methodical dismantling of Iran's physical connectivity. Every bridge spanning the Karun River and every strategic tunnel through the Zagros Mountains is being turned into rubble. Iran is effectively fractured into 5 isolated enclaves. The regular army is paralyzed. They simply can't move. The Ukrainian connection. Operating directly from U.S. carrier decks, teams from Ukraine's unmanned systems forces are deploying next-gen long-range interceptor drones. They are hunting the highways, picking off every fuel tanker that tries to move. Iranian logistics hasn't just slowed down, it's dead on arrival. The casualty count. United States, 0 pilots lost. It's a clean sweep of drones and stealth tech. Iran, approximately 15,000 military personnel neutralized. 90% of their integrated air defense IADS is gone, and 60% of their fuel and lubricant depots have been vaporized. Tehran is blind, static, and running out of gas. Phase 2, Maritime Hammer. Objective, securing a beachhead, seizing control of the oil flow, and forcing open the Strait of Hormuz. Day 6, D-Day in the Persian Gulf. 4 o'clock. The largest amphibious operation since Incheon begins. U.S. Marine Expeditionary Units commence landings on the strategic islands of Kish and Keshem. 6 o'clock. Iran's Mosquito Fleet emerges from hidden sea caves. Hundreds of fast attack craft, packed with explosives and anti-ship missiles, swarm toward the U.S. fleet. The battle for Hormuz. It's an absolute slaughterhouse. U.S. AH-64 Apaches and Ukrainian Magura V-5 maritime drones, deployed under a specialized contract, turn the Gulf into a shooting gallery. The water turns pitch black from fuel oil and debris. Iran loses 120 vessels in just 3 hours. But the U.S. takes a hit. A San Antonio-class amphibious transport dock is crippled by a kamikaze boat. 200 Marines are reported KIA. The cost of entry has just gone up. Day 7. The Inferno of Bandar Abbas. 10 a.m. The assault on Bandar Abbas begins. This is Iran's primary logistical artery. Cut this, and the regime suffocates. The 1st Marine Division is conducting a direct action landing right in the heart of the port zone. 1400. Urban warfare commences. The IRGC is resorting to their classic human shield playbook, nesting mortal positions inside schools and residential blocks. Trump goes live on national television with a blunt ultimatum. We warned them. Any building firing on our boys will be leveled. Period. This is a new kind of war. The Marines aren't kicking down doors blindly anymore. They're deploying weaponized robotic dogs and FPV wasp drones to clear structures. For the first time in history, infantry only enters a building after a drone has already sanitized it. Welcome to the future of urban pacification. Days 8 to 10, the Saudi March. The offensive. From the borders of Kuwait and Iraq, Massive armored columns punch directly into the Khuzestan province, the beating heart of Iran's oil industry. Order of battle. Leading the charge is the U.S. 1st Armored Division, the legendary Old Ironsides. Close on their heels are 40,000 Saudi troops mounted on M2 Bradley fighting vehicles. This isn't a skirmish, it's a steamroller. Realizing they can't hold the line, the Iranians begin detonating their own oil wells. It's an ecological cataclysm of biblical proportions. The sky turns pitch black with thick, oily soot. The sun is completely choked out, even at noon. High-intensity combat continues, but now it's fought entirely through night vision goggles. For the soldiers on the ground, day has officially turned into night. Days 11 to 13, the battle for Ahvaz. The stronghold. Ahvaz is the critical junction, a massive railway and oil hub. It's here that the Iranian regime decides to make its last stand. They're digging in, literally. They've pulled aging T-72 and Zulfikar tanks out of storage and buried them up to their turrets, turning them into static, dug-in firing positions. This is where Ukraine's unmanned systems forces show the world how it's done. When U.S. Abrams columns grind to a halt before massive, complex minefields, the Ukrainians unleash swarm drone strikes. In just 40 minutes, they systematically erase every piece of camouflaged enemy artillery in the sector. A U.S. Army general would later write in his memoirs, "Without the boys from Kyiv, we would have been bogged down in that mud for months." Ahvaz didn't just fall, it was surgically dismantled. But this is only the beginning. We've seized the coastline, but ahead of us lie the Zagros Mountains, a natural fortress rising 13,000 feet into the sky. Behind that wall are 70 million Iranians who now despise their liberators because of the blacked-out skies and the stench of burnt oil. And frankly, they don't care that it was their own leaders who lit the match. Did China seize the moment? You bet they did. While U.S. Marines were bleeding out in the streets of Bandar Abbas, Beijing officially announced military exercises around Taiwan, which in reality evolved into a total naval blockade. The Pentagon is hitting the panic button. Air defense interceptors are being expended faster than they can be hauled out of stockpiles in Nevada. Was the operation worth it? In one decisive blow, the U.S. knocked Iran off the board, stripped Russia of its primary long-range drone supplier, and seized control of 20% of the world's oil. But the price might be so steep that the US dollar simply snaps under the weight of it all. Phase 3. The Tehran Airlift. These were the days when the word logistics became a synonym for survival, and the skies over Iran transformed into the most congested landing pattern in aviation history. Trump demanded the head of the snake on a silver platter by the end of the month. The Pentagon's response? It's going to be expensive. Let's break down, hour by hour, the assault on a 9 million strong megacity, trapped between the mountains and religious fanaticism. Day 16, the night of falling stars. It was March 15, 2026. While people in New York were sipping their morning coffee, the largest airborne operation since 1944 was unfolding over Iran. 1 o'clock, Operation Open Door. Over 300 C-17 Globemasters and C-130J Super Hercules, shielded by the stealth umbrellas of F-22 Raptors, crossed the border from the Iraqi sector. 2 a.m., the U.S. 82nd Airborne Division commences its drop on Imam Khomeini International Airport. This was no soft landing. The Iranians had already mined the runways. The first 2 C-17s disintegrate upon touchdown, hitting anti-tank mines at full speed. Over 150 paratroopers are lost in the opening minutes. The tarmac becomes a graveyard of burning aluminum and grit. 4 o'clock. While the Americans are still clawing for a foothold on the runways, Ukrainian USF specialists deploy swarms of autonomous hunter-killer drones directly from the cargo bays of orbiting transport planes. Their mission, seek and destroy every mobile Zu-23 anti-aircraft gun and MANPADS teams circling the perimeter. Within 60 minutes, the sky is sanitized. 6 o'clock. Khomeini International is under U.S. control. The airlift begins in earnest. Every 90 seconds, a bird either touches down or screams back into the sky. The logistics machine has arrived. March 17, 10 o'clock. The U.S. 101st Airborne Division, the Screaming Eagles, drops into northern Tehran, specifically the Shemingran district. The objective is surgical: cut off the IRGC elite's primary escape routes into the mountains. March 18, the first real wall of resistance. Iran's regular army has largely dissolved, but the Basij fanatics are turning every garage and basement into an ambush point. U.S. Oshkosh LATVs are taking hits from aging RPG-7s. Trump takes to Truth Social, posting, "Our boys are doing great, but the cities are messy. We need to clean it up fast." March 19th, there is no power, no water, and no gas. The humanitarian catastrophe has officially been weaponized. The Iranians are using the city's sewer networks to move their units undetected. This has evolved into a rat war, a brutal subterranean grind where there are no front lines. March 20, 3 o'clock. The assault on the government quarter commences. Valias Street is literally transformed into a river of spent brass casings. The intensity of the small arms fire is unprecedented. 9 o'clock. Israeli Sayeret Matkal operators, backed by U.S. Delta Force, breach the Sadabad complex. They aren't there for territory. They're hunting for the crown jewels, nuclear program archives, and the launch codes for the remaining missile silos. March 21, 12 o'clock. The munitions crisis. A U.S. Army lieutenant general reports that stockpiles of precision-guided Hellfire missiles are 70% depleted. The coalition is forced to pivot to standard JDAM gravity bombs. Collateral damage in Tehran spirals out of control. The world is witnessing footage that looks less like a modern surgical strike and more like the ruins of Aleppo. March 22nd, China officially drops the hammer, imposing sanctions on the U.S. for the genocide of the Iranian people. Beijing halts all exports of rare earth metals, the lifeblood of missile microchip production. Trump fires back, hiking tariffs to a staggering 660%. The global economy isn't just shaking, it's fracturing at the seams. March 23rd, the battle for Evin Prison. This place is the ultimate symbol of the regime's repression. In a final act of desperation, the IRGC attempts to execute all remaining political prisoners before retreating. This is where Ukraine's USF deploy intelligent assault tactics. Their kamikaze drones are piloted directly into the ventilation shafts where IRGC High Command is hiding. The footage of these precision strikes racks up billions of views instantly. This is the definition of modern warfare: brutal, digital, and hyper-public. March 25. Reports of a radiation spike emerge near Sharif University of Technology. A research reactor has likely been breached. Pure, unadulterated panic grips what's left of the population. Over 2 million people abandon their homes, attempting a desperate exodus on foot toward the Turkish border. The cradle of civilization is now a radioactive graveyard. March 27, the official parliament building, the Majlis, is seized. The stars and stripes are hoisted over the dome. Trump declares a great victory to the world. Yet the gunfire in the streets doesn't skip a single beat. The symbol has fallen, but the city refuses to die. March 28, the ghost hunt begins. Intelligence reports indicate that the IRGC High Command and the surviving members of the Assembly of Experts have vanished into MOAB, a massive, reinforced subterranean city carved deep beneath the mountains. The war hasn't ended, it's just gone underground. March 30. Tehran is under 60% physical control. The central government has collapsed into total anarchy. However, organized resistance has mutated into a decentralized, long-term insurgent war. The regime is dead, but the ghost is just starting to haunt the coalition. Iran, as a unified sovereign state, has ceased to exist. It is now a fragmented territory under a provisional administration that barely controls the city centers. Oil prices have skyrocketed to such extremes that Europe has been forced into state-mandated fuel rationing. We're talking 1970s-style gas coupons and strict weekly limits. The global economy isn't just shaking, it's being rewired under duress. If you thought the assault on Tehran was the climax of this drama, you were dead wrong. The real hell began the moment American generals unrolled the topographic maps of the Zagros Mountains. We are talking about a 13,000-foot granite fortress where 150,000 IRGC fanatics had dug in. Overnight, the war shifted from remote and high-tech to a medieval meat grinder powered by space-age technology. Trump demanded nothing less than total surrender, but the remnants of the IRGC had burrowed so deep into the granite that even the sun couldn't reach them. On narrow mountain passes, M1 Abrams tanks became sitting ducks. The U.S. 1st Armored Division bled out in tunnel ambushes. While U.S. air power failed to reach the caves, Ukrainian USF specialists used thermobaric drones to strike bunker vents 50 meters deep. It was the only way to reach the command. As U.S. munitions, 155mm and javelins hit critical lows, Beijing officially announces the full integration of Taiwan. The Chinese amphibious assault begins. Trump is caught in a lethal dilemma: abandon the Iranian campaign to save Taiwan or finish what he started. He chooses Iran, effectively surrendering Taipei to Beijing on a silver platter. The IRGC deployed sarin gas. The heavy nerve agent rolled down from the mountains under the cover of night, suffocating 800 Marines in a single shift. The world stood still in horror. Eschewing tactical nukes, Trump ordered the MOAB, mother of all bombs, to seal the mountain complexes, burying thousands alive. The death of the last general broke the ideological spine of the resistance. In the dying days of the campaign, U.S. forces finally uncovered the nightmare they had been hunting. Deep within the granite bowels of the mountains, they seized enough weapons-grade enriched uranium to wipe several American states off the map or erase Israel entirely. This wasn't just an Iranian project. Intelligence confirmed that Russia had been a shadow partner until the very last hour, providing the critical components and expertise for a massive dirty bomb program. The world didn't just witness a regime change. It narrowly escaped a regional nuclear holocaust. August 20, Trump declared total victory from a carrier deck, but the cost was staggering. The final tally. Human cost, U.S., 18,500 KIA, deadliest since Vietnam. Iran, 1.4 million, military and civilian. $4.2 trillion spent. Global GDP crashed by 8%. Trump has secured his triumph. A potential nuclear apocalypse has been averted. The United States now holds a massive share of global oil production and absolute control over the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most vulnerable choke point, which fuels most of Asia, including China. But there is a catch. Washington failed to protect its most strategic ally and partner, Taiwan. The chips that power everything from your gadgets to global data centers and high-precision weaponry are now under Beijing's thumb. China is the new global hegemon, having secured the Pacific while the U.S. emptied its arsenals in the desert. Welcome to a brave new wild world. That was the optimistic take on a ground operation. Now, tell me in the comments, how likely do you think this path truly is? And hit that like button if you want me to break down the pessimistic scenario, the one where Beijing takes a much more aggressive stance, and the IRGC's sleeper cells across the globe suddenly wake up to execute their darkest protocols. The choice is yours. See you in the next one.